Kyle here from allmeatreviews.blogspot.com. Another Marillion album today, Friday, September 10th. It's going to be the 2012 album, Sounds That Can't Be Made. And here's my copy right there. You can see that. I got the big edition, you know, I mean, being the fan, especially at this point in 2012. You know, it's a big booklet. I'm not going to, I don't know if I can page through the whole thing. It's a lot. I mean, it's a big deluxe edition. And I'll talk about it in a few minutes. I don't have a lot of time left on my battery on my camera right now, though, so I got to kind of make this quick. Oh yeah, you got, my name might be in here. It probably is, you know, but I have to look for it. Just like Arachnophobia, you know. So they're coming off of Happiness is the Road in 2008, the double album. But, you know, the thing is, and I think of this album probably as much for the tour I saw them. I had seen them in 2004 and then the trio in 2005, but, you know, I hadn't seen them after that. And so, but I got to see them in Chicago twice with my wife. Her probably first and last times ever seen Marillion. But I think of that tour and this album more than anything. I think, come to think of it, this album hadn't come out. I didn't find the release date, but it hadn't come out at the point that I saw them. That was around my birthday. It was like June 23rd, or it was like my dad's birthday in 2012. Let's just here, look it up quickly as possible if the internet works. Probably can't. Yeah, it came out in September. So yeah, which I think the last album, Fear, came out in September too. So the last couple albums have come out late in the year. The next one, the new one, an hour before It's Dark, is probably going to come out earlier than that. Would be my guess. But this album, I'll say this: I like parts of it, but I got to admit that over time and just initially, even, I have not attached myself or really brought myself to love it overall. There's a few songs I do really like. Power, and as much as it's not a fan favorite, largely because of the lyrical, whatever the approach to it, Montreal musically, I think, is a terrific song. I'll back and defend that song. You know, it's about observations, experiences, and then just in general the Hogarth and his time going to Montreal for the Marillion conventions, among a few other things, but that's largely and people are just kind of like, well, what am I drawing inspiration from this? It's like a fan, it's a love letter to the fans, but it's very proggy. It's got a lot of sort of dynamics and moments that I like. Even though it maybe sounds like some of their other songs, I think it just works. But so the rest of this record, Gaza is maybe the most controversial song they've ever written. And also sounds like the first few minutes, especially those power chords, are like almost doomy, drony. They're not doing metal, but that song and then much of this album is pretty dramatically different from most of the other records. Although thinking about this coming off of Happiness is the Road, I can sort of hear some symbolism on why they went the way they did. But I like some of the moments in it. It's one of those kind of uneven tracks. I know the political part of it, I don't really pay attention that close to, but I know it's got a lot of political ramifications, kind of about the Gaza Strip in the Middle East, Israel and Palestine per se, but it's not as in your face as, say, some of the lyrics on Somewhere Else or some of these other albums that have more lyrics that are in your face that just ruin the song to me. But it's among their epics. It's definitely not in the top for me. The title track, Aurora Borealis, kind of a space rock kind of element, looking into astronomy and stuff like that. I mean, it's got a textured element, but it's also kind of minor key and offbeat at points. So it's sort of another track that I like parts of, but I've never been won over by. Then now listening to it again today, Invisible Ink and The Sky Above the Rain are the two other tracks that I like. I probably don't remember liking Invisible Ink as much as I did today. It's kind of trippy, kind of Pink Floyd-y at points. It's like Mellotron-y kind of sounds. I can sort of hear the echo of Happiness is the Road at some of the tracks on there, how they ended up writing that. But for whatever reason, when I listened to this record initially, Invisible Ink didn't stick out as much as maybe it does now. The Sky Above the Rain is not a bad closing track. It's got some almost like organ or kind of string section that kind of works. I mean, it's hardly, they've had a lot of great closing tracks, but, you know, it's not in my top 5 or anything like that among closing tracks on all their albums, but on this record, it's one of the better songs. So the other tracks, Lucky Man, I've said it before, I'll say it again, it doesn't work. Unfortunately, some people really like it. I just, after listening again, I know why I'm not in love with that song. It just is sort of beating a dead horse to an extent. Yeah, it sounds a little like Abbey Road at points, but I just don't, I get a cheesy feeling listening to it every time I've heard it. This was no different listening to it today. Pour My Love is just another one of the kind of those ballady kind of songs, which isn't awful, but it just doesn't go anywhere for me. So that's kind of my summary of this record. I mean, yeah, I got this terrific, here's a Visible Ink. The artwork and the book is great. This also comes with a DVD, I think, of the making of it. So, you know, from an artwork standpoint and a book standpoint, this version of it is great. But, you know, I can't say right now, maybe in 10 years, like somewhere else, maybe this will grow on me more. But just listening to the first time in probably like 4 or 5 years at least, the whole thing, I'm not feeling that much different about it. A little bit, a couple tracks, but as a whole, it will show where it falls in the rankings. You know, when I do that ranking video in a couple, like a week or whenever I can get the chance to, the next week or two. But so, what's your take on Sounds That Can't Be Made? I mean, it's just such a different sounding record. It's almost their avant-garde record. Gaza can be so avant-garde. It doesn't. I barely recognize Marillion. I recognize Hogarth's voice, but as a whole, the music is so dramatically different that's what stands out. A lot of the songs on here were just experiments that didn't always work. Sometimes they worked a little bit. I think what they did on Happiness and what they did on Fear, they did some experiments that worked a little better. But you know, like I said, Power is the one track I'll probably always grab onto on this record. I've always liked Power. So that's my take on Happiness is the Road. We got 2 more left, and then then I'll probably also make a video on my vinyl / B-side / bootlegs and stuff, if I can wrap all that stuff up into one, consolidate it. But then I can finally wrap this up and move on to the Deer Hunter. I have the Deer Hunter video and Reina Kindo video to upload, and I'll start working on the Deer Hunter in the coming weeks. And it's not going to go as long as Marillion because there's not as many albums. But thank you for watching. Again, what's your take on Happiness or on Sounds That Can't Be Made? Do you love it? Maybe people really do like it, but you know. But we'll see you next time.